What up, fam? Chief X, the God Best reincarnated with some of this common sense science. So, people need maps, right? Trust me. Get a map. I got a map here on my wall because I just have a fetish for maps. I got even a globe on my desk, right? That I use for reference, and it makes things much clearer. Let's just talk about this migration of the Native Americans and the migration of the people who came up out of Africa 70,000 years ago. Let's just explain for a map so you can get a better idea visually of what the deal is, right? Okay. Canada, Alaska, Canada, United States, Mexico, what do they call these? Damn, I forget the term. But anyway, Brazil, South America, and all that. That is considered in historical talk the New World. Okay? I guess they would be saying this is the Old World, but I'm just using phrases for understanding. Okay? So here's Africa, where African Americans come from. Right? Now, the out of Africa theory, this is Africa, right? The out of Africa theory was 70,000 years ago. Okay? So, when they migrated out of Africa, they went all up into Europe. See, a lot of y'all should be claiming you're European or Aboriginal Europeans before you can sit here and claim that you're Aboriginal or Americans or Indigenous Americans. It's just the stupid logic people say. Okay, anyway, here's out of Africa into Europe, where humans went first when they left Africa. They didn't first go to Brazil, the Americas, and Canada, all that. They first went up out of here. You guys should be calling yourself Europeans before you would call yourself Indigenous Americans. Just think about it. God damn. Okay, they went out of Africa into Europe, all into the Indus Valley, to China, which is basically Asia. So they went out of Africa to Europe, to Asia, right? And 20,000 years later, the Aboriginals, ab meaning away or from, or so it's saying from the original peoples. So the Aboriginals from the original peoples who left out of Africa, not African Americans, went here. And somehow they ended up in Australia 20,000 years later. That's why they call Australians Aboriginal peoples. Aboriginals is not a term for Africans or Native Americans or any other people. Aboriginal is just for Australians, sometimes Native Canadians, but we're just going to stick with Australians. So it's easy to connect to Australia from all these little mini islands and shit up in here. You can kind of backstroke sometimes through these different islands and get to here. So sailing, excuse my sailing, because I don't believe they had boats, but getting from certain places like here to here is easy. Here to here is easy. It's easy. You can damn near backstroke down here, cutting it. So the people was connecting to all these little islands and then ended up in Australia, right? You can use a damn canoe to get across. Here, you'll be fine. Canoe, yeah, you'll be fine. Canoe, yeah, you'll be fine. But when you get to talking about the North Atlantic Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, you talking about a lot of damn space from Africa all the way over here. You get up out here in a canoe, you're dead. That's why the fictional story of Mansa Musa, right? When you look at its cause of death, there's a few Mansa Musa, because Mansa is a common name that they all carry. Mansa something. Something's Mansa something. So once you get up out here, excuse me. Mansa Musa, when you look at his cause of death, you know what it says? Atlantic Ocean. Y'all didn't know that? Look it up. Cause of death. It says unknown, and some sources says Atlantic Ocean. Because if you try to get up out here on them little piece of shit ass boats that the ancient Egyptians had, or today's current Native Americans have, them canoes, you're dead. You're not going to even get about halfway without dying. Waves and rough waters. And me being in the Navy, I'm clear about these waters. I'm clear about how ships navigate through these waters. I was on a steel amphib ship that carried Marines to shore. LST 1186, USS Cayuga, Seaman Shelton. And we was on that, it's a big ship compared to the ones y'all see the ancient Egyptians have in these canoes. But in reference to the Navy, it's rather small ship. We was taking 45-degree turns like this, crossing these damn oceans in the Pacific Ocean. Look at all this. We was taking 45-degree turns for a week straight one time. Like this. You think those boats, Mansa Musa pictures you see, those boats of the ancient Egyptians you see, cannot get up out here without water going all over it and drowning the entire crew and killing everybody. Right? So this is where they came to there. Now, y'all have to stop lying on our ancestors. That's what you're doing. You're lying to save face. You're being wishful and hopeful. You know damn well our ancient Nile Valley ancestors never recorded any trips to the Americas. They never recorded or wrote about any voyages here. So wherever y'all thinking that they got here, you making that up and being hopeful and wishful. West Africans never recorded or wrote about any voyages to the Americas. Never. Y'all being disrespectful to the ancestors in a sense by lying on them. Okay? Now, the Native Americans are a East Asian genetic people. Meaning right here. See? This is Russia, but this is Asia. This is Russia. Guess what connects to Russia? The East Asian, cold, Siberia. So let's go on here because it continues. This is Russia. This is Alaska. That's Russia right there. You can backstroke from Russia to Alaska. So the Bering Straits was here. And the Native Americans came from East Asia to Alaska and to Canada. That's why I said some Native American Canadians are considered Aboriginal slightly. But let's get off that. Canada to the Americas, United States, North America to Mexico, South America to the islands, Caribbeans, and to Brazil. That's considered the New World. And that's the Native Americans' lane. Us Africans wasn't over here. And we, West Africans, African peoples, didn't get to none of these places. We didn't never travel to none of these places until 1400 when the slave trade jumped off. The only way we got over here in these areas is from the slave trade. I'm sorry. That's just the truth. And that's why it's been $2,500 on the table since July for any scientific proof of Africans traveling over to the New World prior to Columbus. And that $2,500 is still sitting there and nobody has got it because nobody has scientific proof. There is no scientific proof because it never happened. Okay? And that's how the world worked and came to be. Get yourself a map. We are West Africans and we come from here. And those Aboriginals have the least genetic diversity. They have the least genetic diversity because there was an isolated people. They didn't mix. But once they got over here in these islands, Solomon Islanders, and they didn't mix with the rest of the world. So their genetic diversity is less. Our genetic diversity is great. We have a lot of genetic diversity because we admix with peoples all over the world throughout time. We was fucking like that, right? The we have the furthest we have the furthest genetically to these people than anybody on the planet. Even Asians are closer to the Aboriginal genetically than the West African or the Africans. Y'all didn't know that? It don't matter if their skin is paler. They're closer genetically because melanin is determined by the sun's UV rays in a specific geographical area. Right? Don't have nothing to do with you being African because you're melanated. All melanated people aren't African. Right? Because that's why I make the analogy. You can't stand a Thailand woman up, Thailand woman next to a Mexican woman, and say they the same people because their skin tone is similar, and they both have black straight hair. African Americans who have identity crises are only people who think just because you're dark that means you're African. No, buddy. That's not how science works. That's not how biology works. That's not how it works, family. You've been bamboozled. Not on purpose, but, a lot of our Afrocentric scholars early on were biased. And we wanted to make everything black. And that's not the point. Everything was not black. When people left out of Africa, they began to mutate and change colors and forms. It's no such thing as the black Chinese. That's culture vulture shit. The black Japanese, that's culture vulture shit. We were the Native Americans. That's culture vulture shit. I'm sitting here watching this video of this white woman doing an African dance, and she was getting down, right? Bunch of conscious community niggas running all out the mouth talking about, that's culture vulture. She's dancing like the Africans dance. That's culture vulture. Shut up. And nobody wearing some Indian hair in their head got any business talking about culture vultures. You have no business talking about culture vultures when all y'all want to be stealing the Moors history, which is the Berbers and Arabs history. You stealing Moors history. You stealing Native American history. You claiming you Chinese. You claiming you everything, and the whole world is yours and all that shit. The whole world is not yours. Walk up into another country claiming shit. Matter of fact, see if you could even get into another country without a passport and permission. The whole world is not yours. The whole world is humans. And before us Homo sapiens, there was Neanderthal, Homo erectus, and all these people who were here before y'all. You don't own shit. You're an organism living on Earth. Period. Chief X, I'm out.